he's a guy or two for me named Van Pierce. Good kid, good young man. I carried him. I said, Van, I got an invitation to go to Russ Myers' hunt. I said, I can afford it. I said, but you've been saying you would just love to get in some of the larger hunts and hunt with some of the better dogs in the country. I said, here's an opportunity. I said, if you want half of it, I'll split it with you. Russ said, I can bring you. We did for several years together. He just went ape for what Van did. Van is in the cement business, does very well, very successful businessman. He said, man, Bill owns one in Texas. Bill owns one in Texas. I said, Van, I don't know if the market would bear it. He said, what do you mean? I said, if you were to put a hunt on like that, it is a replica of the Myers hunt. Myers are paying $20,000 each night for first place. I says, how many people out there, that's not to say people won't, but how many will support that hunt? You want to do a 16-dog hunt? Well, Myers went on for several years, and when I heard he called me, or Jesse Dickinson called me and told me they weren't going to have it, I went to Van. And Roger Dale, I had kind of mentioned it to Roger Dale. Man, he wouldn't let that touch him. Man, no, and I understood that. That's venturing out pretty good with a bunch of hunters. When I heard that I went hunt with Van one night, I said, look, Myers is not having his hunt this year. This may be the time for us to pursue the dream that you've had. And he says, what do you mean? I said, no, he's not going to have it. He said, well, Roger Dale's at Walker Days. He said, I can get him. I can call him. And I said, well, I was sitting in Van's living room. I said, well, call him. And I sat there before we went hunting, and I talked to Roger Dale. I said, just try it one time, Roger Dale. I believe enough people will support this. He said, let me think about it when this hunt's over, when that Walker Day's over. He called Van the next week and said, we may have never done this. After people pay $6,500 for an entry fee, do you think we get enough hunters? I said, well, Myers had some people up there that did it. That would come to his hunt every year. The Runny Bone, the Bellers, a lot of those guys from up in the Kentucky, Illinois, the Indiana area. So he said, well, how would we do it? I said, you need 4 guys, you need 4 good judges, and your entry fee would take care of it. I said, it'd be about $101,000 to $102,000 in the pot. They went from there. I said, boys, I'll put it together for you. I said, I'm giving you what I think of the guidelines. I said, and none of it deviates from PKC rules. We hunt under PKC rules. That's what Myers did. He hunted under PKC rules. That may have been a little bit of deviation, wasn't much. When that hunt entries went on sale, it was filled in 12 minutes.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
The first hunt they had, Roger Dale was out here. Man, it went off like clockwork. And that thing got bad. I think this is the 6th or 7th year the Black Eyed Peas coming into play. And you got them now. They've sprung up pretty much all over the country. And I'm going to tell Roger Dale, I'm going to call him in. That was the first one that they had ever had, the one that I built. And that was the first 5,000 that they've ever had. Now, he'll tell you that. That's in the record book. It should be. We never had anything like that.
Yeah, you right.
That's how it got started.
Yeah, and now it's $6,500 Pro Classics are, like you said,
right.
popping up everywhere.
That's right.
But y'all were the pioneers for it.
We were the pioneers. That's exactly right. And all I ask, if anybody ever questioned Roger Dale or ever had looked in the history book, just give Texas, not me. I don't want no part of it. Just give Texas the credit for having the forethought and the vision to try it.
Yeah.
Now, sometime you let the horse out the barn. He's not going to run off, of course. He knows from which his help comes. He'll come back. Yeah, he'll come back.
Yeah. Okay, so when Mr. Jarvis first started PCA, how was the hunting for money received throughout the coon hunting community? Because up till that point, everybody hunted for trophies, right? Right, hunted for trophies. So, some of the biggest argument about a trophy. I've been giving them away for the last 20 years. And still got my wife to get in my office, in my little office. I still got trophies over there half tall as I am, and I'm 6'7". And I give them to kids, I give them to clubs, I give them to just different people just want them. Some of them were nice with clocks. My mother-in-law kept some of those trophies in her bedroom until she died. She died at a ripe old age. She said those are some of the best clocks that ever been made. She kept them in for time. But back to your point, I didn't want to get off into that. That's another story. That's fine. But how was it received when Mr. Jarvis first come up with that idea for hunting for money and all?
People were very skeptical. They were saying, if we get in these big arguments over trophy, what do you think it's going to be if money's involved? But Jarvis had a great plan, in my opinion, and I have often told him this when we were seeing each other quite a lot around hunts, and he'd come out and hunt with us, we'd hunt with him. But it went over as smooth as anything else. And I'm trying to think, Jarvis had a saying that he would use, I can't think of it verbatim, but his number one thing was keep honest men judging and making the calls. And some of the best judging I've ever had in my 77 plus years has been from PKC judges.
Yeah.
Roy Trammell was one of the better judges that I've ever had. And I'm trying to think of this other man who was on Jarvis' staff at the time, older guy. I don't know if Jarvis told me, and I called him and talked to him a long time, about 5 or 6 years ago. He was having some health issues. That man could tell you if your dog moved his head on a tree almost 1,000 yards. He had the best hearing, and he had the best judgment of distance. Eddie Simmons knows him. And that was one of the best judges I have ever had judge me.
Yeah.
What is his name? He was a pilot, too. He had a plane like old Jarvis did, you know. Jarvis could judge. Jarvis was a good judge. But Roy Trammell and this guy were the best two judges in my 77 years that I ever had judged me.
Yeah, that's awesome. You said people would argue over a trophy, but when you got to PKC and y'all started hunting for money, was it different than everybody thought it was going to be?
Very much so. That went over very well. And then UKC hunters were leery about ever hunting with a PC. They call them a PCA dog. They fight. And I was kind of the go-between out in our country. They don't fight no more than a UKC dog. If they fight, you take them out.
Yeah.
You send him to the truck. Yep. Simple as that. And Jarvis was a great planner. He put together, he had Nick DeJacamore, the one that used to own, I can't think of that old stud dog we had for years, was a good reproducing dog. I'm trying to think. In Oklahoma, Nick, we've since lost Nick. Nick was around a long time. Good man. But old Jarvis, now you talk about a pioneer. Old Jarvis was a pioneer. I just liked that idea. I liked his ideas about this coon hunting. He could get it done. Yeah, he was a promoter. And I know one time Tim Ball, I was talking to him about PKC. He wasn't leery of it too much, but he had some reservations about it because he'd been a UKC man all his life. But I think still to this day, if you're in the stud dog business or if you're selling puppies, you can sell more puppies or breed more jips with a stud dog who's a dual grand champion UKC than you can with a world champion PKC dog. Now, why that is, I don't know. Men will certainly, and women as well, will buy puppies out of a dual grand female rather than a world champion PKC female. They'll buy them quicker. I believe that. I don't know why that is. You have an idea?
I've heard Josh from Kalos talk about this, and he said he thinks it's because, UKC is more of the breeders.
Right.
But people that hunt PKC, they might not ever breed that good dog. You know what I mean?
That's right.
They don't
That's
care.
Right.
It's not about that. But and to be honest with you, I don't believe that we should have that big divide. You know, I don't like that we talk about this guy's a UKC guy because I'm kind of
no. I don't either, sir. Young man, I don't either.
And because I'm like you said, I'm kind of a go in betweener. You know, I hunt both of them, I support both of them. You know, and
right.
I really don't. I know you feel the same way I do. I don't like to see that because I think we should support everybody, you know, and
everybody.
Yeah,
that's right.
I mean, that's just how I am. But I'm always curious about because I've heard Mr. Eddie talk about it, when it first started, you know, and how people were kind of skeptical, like you said, about hunting for money. And I just want to see what you thought about that.
Yes, so they were. Yeah, they were.
So I read it was an article when he got inducted into the Hall of Fame, and it was talking about you and him went on TV and promoted the Lone Star 5000.
We did. Tony DeCero,
that's right, DeCero.
Yeah. He's since passed on. Yes, he was my treasurer for years when I first started the 5000. Tony DeCero, right. You're right.
Okay. So what gave y'all the idea of, you know, because that would be almost unheard of now, you know?
Well, that was a big event. That was a big thing in the Grimes County area. Every year the 5,000. Here again, it had mushroomed in such a big hunt. Like I said, we was hunting there for 3 nights. We was hunting 300 dogs a night. And those FFA kids there who went to Iola High School, those kids were. I asked the ag man about the 5th year to just give me kind of an overview of the amount of money that they had generated there. It doesn't necessarily have to be net, gross. I mean, I just want to give a feel. And he did. In 5 years, those kids had put together right at $2.3 million they had made just off of concessions.
Cool.
People would come from miles around. Do you hear me? I'm talking because there's no hotels in Iola. It's just a community. I mean, they got maybe a general store. On Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, people would come from 25 to 30, 40, 50 miles to eat. Those people would put together a steak dinner, a fish dinner, and a Mexican food dinner for those 3 nights. And everybody would bring their family, little kids. And I built it around the family atmosphere. If kids, we had games kids could play. And it wasn't no drinking, no loud talking, none of that. If you did that, we had you escorted off campus.
Yeah.
Those people would come there, and we had room where they could sit down at a table and get a sit-down meal. And that ag man, well, they had several ag men, but the head man brought the figures to me. One year, they grossed almost $300,000 on concessions. The next year, it was almost the same thing. They they started a scholarship program for the top kids in that community who was going to college. In 5 years, they gave away 35 or 37 scholarships, anywhere between $500 and $1,000 to each kid. Now, that's not a lot of money, but when you think about it, kids can buy a lot of things they need in college when they're starting off.
Yeah.
And they still have the concessions. And that's what I told Joe when he took over. Don't take that from that. That community makes that hunt. And they have gotten businesses as far away as Houston, and that's 60, 70, 80 miles from Houston. I'm talking about food businesses donating. 90% of their steaks were donated. 90% of the fish was donated. 90% of the chicken was donated. 90% of the ground beef was donated by food chains because they are promoting youth programs. They built a brand new building attached to their old ag building, offer concessions from that hunt. And the TV got interested in that. They were looking for, community programs that they could get behind or they could air and talk about. And they sent the station, for 5 years running, they sent the station to the hunt. Channel came to the hunt. I believe Channel 8 or whatever it was. And they was wanting to talk to the administrators. I let them talk to my directors. I would never get on it. And one day they invited me and treasurer. They asked me if I would come to the station, and they wanted to do it. They did an early morning program, I think for 30 minutes. And we were seeing all over Brazos Valley. And that was good. It really did help that. I mean, shoot, that was, man, you couldn't find parking places there.
Yeah.
It was a mess, I'm telling you.
Now, did you build that hunt for the working man?
Yes, sir.
To be able to win a good prize with the low entry fee?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yes, and they didn't want to have to travel to Indiana or Kentucky, because a lot of these guys, a lot of coon hunters in Texas at the time, a lot of them never had ever gotten out of Texas. They would always want to compete in major events or a high-level event. And I must say to the boys up north, my hat's off to them. They have supported this hunt in Texas. They have, from Iowa all the way to Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana. They have supported. I remember when the president of Louisiana, who was Jim Douglas, who is since deceased too, he was the president of Louisiana for years. He used to come to the 5,000 and said, me and my wife wouldn't eat when we left home that morning till we got to the 5,000. I'm telling you. Yeah. Farmers, ranchers, you name it, gardeners, just regular commandeer people. That's where their meal. They ate out at the 5,000 headquarters Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Yes, sir. That's awesome. It really is.
Can't get away from the working man, son.
You can't. You
can't get away from him.
Nope.
And see, the first Pro Classic, that's what it is. The first Pro Classic, I just kept after him till I said, I need another product in here to attract that 10% that maybe who would like to be on a little bit higher level. All right. Oh, no. Finally got him to try it. And it was $1,000 at the time. I said, let's go with 16 dogs. I said 500. He said, well, let's see. If we get 500, we can get 1,000. Son, it wouldn't last 15 minutes when it would go on sale. Yep. And now they're putting two, and you're seeing Pro Classics all over the country. Yep. The more I get to talk about this, Roger doesn't need to pay me some gratuities. By God.
I hear you.
Oh, no, I enjoy the hunts, I tell you. I'm just glad to see these young folk, see y'all keep it going. There's still a market out there, Do a little streamlining here and there. It's going to be all right, I think, for a good long while.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, sir.
I guess we kind of touched on how does it make you feel to see those hunts at this level today. You got any more you'd like to add to that?
I feel good in seeing young people and other people who've never thought this was possible. I guess down through the years, I've always kind of delved into the unknown or what people would call impossible things to do. Being a country boy who grew up on a farm, who had one pair of pants, and we lived off the land the best we could, who never thought I'd get a chance to go to college. I just told my mom and daddy one day, if you allow me and say it's okay to go, I'll find a way. Things turned out fairly well for us. My younger brother came after I did, and he went on and got his degree, who has since preceded me in depth. But I don't think, as I said a few minutes ago, the best of anything has been said or done yet. Now, with that said, we need to approach it in a moderate way of thinking and application. Can let the barn door open a little too wide if you got a horse that is bronchial. Give him a little bit of air. Let him test what's out there. And I'm glad there are men still in this world who's not afraid to take a chance. Out of disagreements, in my opinion, has come some of the world's greatest discoveries. The old locomotive, when they built the old first locomotive, one man told him, say, you will never get it started, one of the critics. And the guy who was building said, all I want is a chance. But very quickly, the man who was the critic said, well, if you ever get it started, you'll never get it stopped. And the train's been running ever since. So what I'm trying to say, at the end of the day, there are still some great possibilities and some great avenues out there to be tested.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
Don't forget the working man. Don't forget that 80%.
Yeah, I agree. And, you're talking about things bred out of disagreements. You being a basketball fan, Duke University was bred out of disagreement.
That's right.
That's
right. That's right.
They told him he couldn't have none. He said, well, I'll go build my own.
I know that's right.
That's
right.
I just figured I'd throw that in there because basketball.
Oh, yes, son. I've seen people skeptical about a lot of things in this life, but thank God for those who hung around to see what the outcome's going to be. And they, too, when things got good, was able to share in it. Now, that's where your joy comes. Your joy comes in helping people, seeing people progress, seeing the quality of life improve for everybody. And that's what I hope for America. I just hope America doesn't give up on the idea that all men are created equal with unalienable rights among those of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. I just hope this country doesn't give up on that because I still think it's possible.
Yeah, I agree. Well said.
Yes, sir. You're
right. Well said. Really. Crazy world we live in, but brighter days ahead, right?
Brighter days ahead. One other thing. And you look at just tonight, I'm going to try to go coon hunt, but I know the darkest hour, if I go hunt all night or not, which I can't and I won't, the darkest hour is just the one before dawn.
Yeah.
The darkest hour this night will be before daybreak in the morning, so that means that's a brighter day ahead.
That makes a lot of sense. It really does.
Yes, sir.
So what is your most memorable hunt, Mr. Guy?
I think one of my most memorable hunts is when I judged the finals. It wasn't me hunting now. A lot of people say, well, he's going to give one. No, I'm not going to give a hunt that I've been on a lot of memorable hunts. One of my most memorable hunts was when Larry Meeks came to me. At the finals, I can't think of the year, but Ronnie Bones was in the finals. Doug Jackson was in the finals. And I can't think of the two of them. That was 4 of the final dogs in America at the time. Larry Meeks came to me at Salem, Illinois. So they had it right down the street from Salem. They use it now as a satellite club. He says, I need you to judge this final 4. They want to hunt it off. And I said, man, that's, I knew I had I had some crack, I believe, was in that cast. I can't think of all the dogs' name right now, but they were 4 of the final dogs in the country at the time. They had gotten through 4 nights or 5 nights of qualifying and got into the final 4. And for him to come to me and ask me to judge the final, he had enough confidence in me and knew that I was going to give the best shot to every dog, not just because somebody else owned him or this man was handling him. And I said, well, I wouldn't mind judging it. I said, but I'm going to ask you to give me a backup. I said, if you get Tam to be my backup handler, I'll judge it. And there was some friction between some of those handlers, like Bones and Jackson. But they all were professionals. They were remarkable handlers. And you need to stay on to know what was going on and know how these guys reacted. It wasn't nothing vicious where they were, going to hurt each other physically, but they, you need to know because they knew when and where and how to slip one in. Tam says, I said, I know Meeks want me to be the head judge. Yeah, I said, but I'm going to ask you if you would. Yeah, he says, if you walk behind them, I'll walk in front of them. And that's where and everybody respected Tam was a well and still is respected gentleman and a hunter. He ended up winning the Nationals, I think, late on in life, and I played several times, but I never did win it outright. We went out there and we hunted 2 solid hours. We treed 9 or 10 coons. And everybody at the end of the hunt, when the hunt was warm, we were sitting on the side of a bank on the road, laughing and talking for the last few minutes to run down. And Doug Jackson's dog came through the cast, took him out, and went 100 yards, failed tree, and Doug didn't tree him. That still left him in second place. Bones ended up winning it, I believe. We went to that dog. He had a sire and 2 kittens. And he said, well, I did pretty good. And I like what he said. I did all right. I got second. I think that was one of the most memorable hunts and one of the most professional hunts and one of the most gentleman-oriented hunts I've been on. And I wasn't a part of it as far as hunting. I was the backup judge. We talked about that for a long time. And even today, when Bones and I get together, we talk about that hunt.
That's awesome.
Yes, sir.
That really is. Now, do you believe that the higher the entry fee you pay, the less headache it is?
Now, when you say less headache, what are you talking about as far as
people being more professional?
I think it may have a part to play, but I also know when there's a lot of sugar, you're going to draw a lot of ants, too.
Yeah.
Who can afford to come.
Yeah.
And the AQHA, which is the American Quarter Horse Association, they have a ceiling on Buddy, who is a part of it. He tells me about it all the time. And I see maybe, and I had thought about PKC maybe kind of coming to that, how many are you going to allow to participate? Anybody can participate, but you can't buy it off. And it attracts a lot of people, but it also eliminates a lot of people.
Yeah.
Here again, I'm kind of going by the bond, trying to come up with an answer that I think may have some substance to it.
Yeah, and that's fine. I've just heard some people say that, and I didn't know from personal experience because I've never been at a $6,500 entry hunt, so I don't know. But well, I've been in quite a few of them. Yeah,
and I've seen a great and a high degree of professionalism being portrayed. I really do.
Yeah.
The level of judging, now I've seen some of that left a bit to be desired, but we got through it. And but the individuals that's handling the dogs, I've seen a great degree of professionalism. I really have.
Yeah. Coon Hunting University is brought to you by Superior Light Company. Use coupon code CHU Podcast at checkout at nighthunters.com. If you're in the market for a new light, do not overlook Superior. They make the best light in the business. The Hellcat Max Flat Dark Earth Edition is awesome. Comes standard with the new and improved high-intensity green laser. Comes standard with the newest design and dual walking light modules, offering the brightest walking lights currently available on the market, bar none. And it comes with your choice of red or true amber or double red color module technology. The Hellcat Max new module design reduces weight without sacrificing burn time or brightness, resulting in an overall weight of just 20 to 24 ounces, depending on your cap selection. The Hellcat Max offers the newest battery technology, which allows for 5 hours of continuous main beam burn time on the highest setting and over 10 hours of highest auxiliary light settings. All controls can be found on one easy 9-position click switch, and all Superior lights come with a 2-year warranty, are made right here in the USA. So check out Superior Lights. Use coupon code CHU Podcast at checkout at nighthunters.com. Thank you to Mr. Jamie, Mr. Sam at Superior Lights for supporting Coon Hunting University Podcast and making this podcast possible. So I ask all the listeners, if you could, please go over there and support Superior Lights. Use the exclusive discount code that is only available to Coon Hunting University Podcast listeners, CHU Podcast. Superior, step up to the max. Now, back to the show. How important is it to you to see the traditions of coon hunting preserved, and how do you think that we can ensure to do that?
Good question. Well, coon hunting didn't just crop up as a sport or as something to do. Coon hunting was a way of life for a tremendous amount of Americans. Hunting, period. It's just like anything else. You're going to find a way to make a living. People relied on their mules, their cows, their dogs, their chickens, their hogs to sire and raise their families, even send them to school. And in the process, all of those items that I named, the animals, they played a major role in feeding their families and sustaining them with a way of life that was comfortable for the times. And thanks to the men and women who had great ingenuity, found ways to improve upon that. And it is utmost important for us as coon hunters, I think, to maintain, to carry on the tradition of coon hunting. Coon hunting is a way, it's an old American, if you could talk about baseball being an old American pastime, coon hunting is an American pastime. Dolly Parton so vividly says this in one of her songs about, let's catch the hounds. Can't remember the county and go to whatever county run a coon. You know, I said, see, even here's a lady who's a tremendous star and been for years and a great icon in this country, know what coon hunting is about and the part it played in the old farmers' lives and their families down through the years. I think some things are best left alone. It's all right to improve upon them. I just hope we don't price ourselves out of the game. We need to keep young people coming along and understanding the history and the importance of it and maintaining it. And yet, here again, I still don't think the best of anything has been said or done yet. I really don't.
Yeah, that's very, very well said. And, I think, you're talking about back in the day and how, like we were talking about, coon hunting, that was a supplemental income. It has changed for sure.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
But we've adapted to that change, and like competition hunting's the new supplemental income, I guess you could say. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's
right.
People have turned it into a hobby,
Right.
But what are the biggest changes that you've seen in your coon hunting career?
The prizes we compete for now, and that certainly money would be at the top. I've seen a little bit of a change in the type of person that this attracts. Some are considered to be hired hands, for lack of a better term, handlers, and even people who can afford it. Now, it can be a turnoff for those who feel that they can't afford some of these larger hunts. But that's what's important to me. Don't price that guy out the game. Let him feel good about being able to participate with his dog, because his dog is just as important to him or her as yours is to you, with one that's able to afford it. I've seen a change in the type of hound that we hunt. People are breeding for the explosive kind of animal from tailgate to tree. The old John McDonald's haven't faded out, or the Hans Wagners who bred the Wagner's Black and Tan years ago. They had a purpose in mind. They perfected that objective, to breed the kind of dog that they thought would suit their interests. And they became stalemates in the hunting world. A multi-purpose hound, a combination hound, big game, small game, or squirrel dog, coon dog, possum dog. All that was a part of the old tradition. But now these younger breeders are breeding these explosive dogs. Some of them run puppy factories. That's fine. There's enough room out here for that. But let's not get away from the foundation. Let's not get away from what coon hunting is about. That's running and training the animal. Protect it, because I believe in conservation. I keep up feeders out here on the ranch most of the year round for animals. I mean, not only for coon, they're primarily relegated to coon feeding, but hogs and deer. Now, this is a part of life. There are people who still do not know that there is a place other than a concrete jungle, that they can get 10 yards outside of their apartment or wherever they're living. Let's not get away from that. We don't need to get away from that. I just believe that there's enough room for everybody. And it certainly galls me when I see people destroying resources, natural resources, just for the sake of exploiting them. There's still some clean air to be breathed, and I certainly hope that we won't forget that as a people. Yeah. We need to keep and know that he made this universe for all men, not just a few.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I am with that.
What does it mean to you to be able to speak to the crowds at the youth hunts and everything like that, or just to speak to anybody about coon hunting?
I think coon hunting in the old tradition of coon hunting is basic in its nature. It's basic in its nature, and it has a carryover value into life. First and foremost, being very simple, if you got an animal, you need to take care of that animal. You need to preserve that animal. You need to know that that animal has what it takes for it to thrive also in life. Now, that means to let you know that you're not in this world by yourself. I got an animal, it's my responsibility. And that's what I've tried to instill in children around the country, even at the World Hunt. They used to bring their boys. I spoke to the World Hunt youth for several times over the years since they started it. It's important for you as a young person, first of all, to be obedient. Don't break the law. Stay in the right path. That means staying with the right group of people. Simply because the grass looks green on the other side of the fence is not necessarily green. So what do you mean by that, old man? Listen to people who are giving you advice as to what is right and what is wrong. It is right, in my opinion, to live right, and that encompasses a lot of things. Whether I do it or not, it is still right. Why? Because our Maker and our Creator, and certainly our Sustainer, our Redeemer, says the same thing. It is right for you to live right. And at the end of the day, your rewards would be even greater than what you could ever dream of accomplishing in life. And I do believe that all of what I've told and what I've attempted to say to children as well as grown, as well as adults, I don't believe it all is falling on deaf ears. Somebody is listening. Somebody is listening. So the tradition of coon hunting is most important to us as a way of life, and it carries over into our adulthood. I'm here, but I'm not an island. I don't live alone. If there's nothing more than my hound, I got him to take care of, not to mention the friends that I've met throughout this business. And hopefully not to mention that if I live through these 7 days, or these 6 days, tomorrow is Sunday, and I need to go to Sunday school, and there's somebody they teach me about in Sunday school who made it all, up to include my hounds and the raccoon. And it's important for me to pay homage to him, because that's all he's asked us to do, just acknowledge him as to who he is and what his return is going to bring to those who lifted him up during the time that they could.
Yeah, very well said.
I appreciate it.
Would that be your advice that you have for the youth today? Just kind of what you just touched on?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
For sure. So,
yes, sir. By all means.
Who are some of the people that have had the greatest impact on your coon hunting career?
I got so many. I hate to start calling names.
Yeah, I understand.
And I hope you do, and I hope if this is ever put out in the public sphere that people will understand. There are so many guys.
Yeah.
And I'm going to just try to sum it up in this sentence or two. Color hasn't meant a whole bunch to me, if anything, in coon hunting. And from all indication, it hasn't meant so much to other people who are my friends and have considered to be my friends, and I consider to be friends. We look at each other as individuals who are going through this life looking for the best, not only for ourselves, but those that surround us, and sharing alike. And people would know who that would be if they ever heard this, yes. Rather than me call names and I miss somebody.
Yeah, that's well said again, man. That is awesome. And like you said, color don't mean nothing to me either, man. I don't think it should to anybody, you know. There's good people of all colors, and there's bad people of all colors. I mean, honestly.
Yes.
And I'm not going to sit here and say that it isn't an issue in this country, because, I mean, I know it is.
No, I wouldn't either. No, I wouldn't either.
I'm not ignorant to the fact that it is. But
oh, no, you're right, son. And you're right, and you're wise not to be ignorant to the fact. And I'm not feeling sympathetic for anybody up to and include myself. Because at the end of the day, and his word to mankind, I will do the separation of the wheat and the chaff. Nothing is forever. So it's important for me to grab and to do the best I can with what I have to do it with. But it's not for me to do it with a closed fist. I need to share it. And here again, all is not going to fall upon deaf ears. Somebody's going to remember, and somebody's going to adhere to the call. Sure. You know. And despite all that we see and we have going on in this country still offers to those who endure it and those who make those choices, still offer an opportunity.
It is, you know, and I'm not going to sit here and say that it is not going to be harder for some people.
That's right.
You know,
that's right.
It's going to be harder for some people. You know, I didn't go to college. I didn't have that opportunity. I went to community college because that's all I could afford.
Right.
But, you know, it's going to be harder for some people, Mr. Guy. But
sure it is. Sure it is. I'm not saying it's not.
And I know you're not. I understand. But just because something's hard, that doesn't mean that we
But that's what makes it great.
Yeah, that is. You're
when
right.
It's hard and you do it and you see what the end result's going to be. That's what makes it great, because it's hard.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't hard, everybody would do it. Not that we don't want everybody to do it, but the hardness and the toughness makes it great.
Yeah, I agree. It makes it worthwhile.
That's right.
I understand that you said that you couldn't name all the people that have impacted you because you didn't want to leave somebody out. And I completely understand that. But there's no telling how many people that you as a person have impacted. You're talking about it doesn't fall on deaf ears. Well, I want to give you one example. On the episode that I interviewed Mr. Joe Manning, how did it make you feel to hear him say that you were one of the people that had the greatest impact on his career? Him just coming off a world championship. And I'm sure he didn't just mean impact as hunting. I'm sure he meant impact in life. I don't want to take any words out of his mouth, but I'm pretty sure I can say that. What does that mean to you?
I'm gonna be selfish here a little bit, man. I just got blowed up, looking like a Davis toad frog. I got so big, I was thinking that young man thought enough of me and thought of our long history of a relationship that he remembered me in one of his prime moments of his life. And I can't, words are not adequate for me right now to explain what it meant to me. I was elated. And I've called him and I thanked him for that. Little did I know at the time, or did I even think that he would even think enough to mention that, but I did. I was flabbergasted. I really was. And I thank him for that. He did a remarkable job. He and that young man, Cole McVeigh, and I had not predicted, but I told him, man, we're praying for you. But we think you got a chance to do it, and you got what it takes. And here this young man had come back and mentioned me on a broadcast like that. Oh, I was pretty light, son. I could have flown if I'd had half of a wing. But, yeah, I was pleased. I really was.
And, that's just one example that's been on here. There's no telling how many people that you have truly touched that you may never even know, that you did. You know what I mean?
Well, I hope so. I hope, pray that somewhere along this life, along this way, along this journey through here, that I may have said, I may have done something that may have impacted somebody's life in a good way. In a good way. And I mean that. Yeah. I'm a poor man as far as resources and stuff, but the Lord's been good. I haven't been hungry for a long time.
Yes, sir. For sure. And
yes,
I personally want to thank you for everything that you've done for this sport, and for people that I ask about you. I said, what about Guy Manning? Because I ask around when I get somebody, that I'm going to interview, and they said, he's a pillar. He's a pillar of the sport of coon hunting. And to me, that's the highest compliment that you could give anyone. You're a pillar. You're one of the people that the foundation, of hunting. For discussing this with you, I think that those folks are right. I really do.
Well, I appreciate you, young man. I really do. And if I may say this at this point, I know we're probably nearing the end of this, and this is great. I'm going to give my enthusiasm and the energy. Of course, I'm going to give it to both of my parents, but that old big woman of mine called my mother, but it just didn't get too hard for her and her encouragement to her boys. And I thank her for it to this day. I know she can't hear it. She's since gone on to glory, but I thank her for that.
Yes, sir. Well, she raised a fine gentleman. I guarantee you that. And
I appreciate you so much.
Yes, sir. Well, I appreciate you and everything that you've done for the sport of coon hunting. I really do. And I appreciate you coming on this podcast, and for me to be able to capture this and to share it with everybody. I I just know it's going to be great, and I know everybody's going to love it. I really do.
Well, I hope so. I hope I haven't embarrassed you in any way, son. Certainly wasn't my intent. Don't hold it against me if I have.
You for sure hadn't embarrassed me. I think everybody's going to love it. But
well, thank you.
We about to wrap it up, but do you got anything you'd like to say before we sign off?
Yes, I'd like to say to this country that I love so much, and not only so much to the coon hunting world, but certainly to the coon hunting world. This is where we are at this moment in time. Don't give up. I think there's a brighter day ahead. And he told us in his word that he will not forsake us And that all we need to do is acknowledge who he is. And he will heal our land. I believe that wholeheartedly.
Yes, sir.
And well, I thank you, son.
Very, very wise words. And I think a lot of people's going to get a lot of wisdom from this one, Mr. Guy. I really do.
Well, appreciate you. Well, I appreciate you. I will never forget you, and I look forward to meeting you somewhere.
I hope so. I really do.
All right.
I know your phone's about to die, and I'll let you get off here, man, but thank you so much again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, young man, for the opportunity.
Good hunting tonight.
Thank you, sir. Same to you.
Yes, sir. Bye.
Bye.
I really hope y'all enjoyed that interview as much as I did. If you like what you heard here, go on over to Facebook, give us a like at Coon Hunting U. Also, go to Apple Podcasts, leave us a rating and a review. It really helps us out. And remember, if you need a new hunting light, do not overlook Superior. They make an awesome light, best customer service in the business. Man, their walking light and double red is the brightest I've ever seen. Use coupon code CHU podcast at checkout at nighthunters.com. You can find a link in the description box below this. Coon Hunting University is a product of Audio Hound Productions. Until next time, y'all have a wonderful day.